Hello, my peaceful and profitable entrepreneurs. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Ask Wednesday. It's just a great day to be live in the group. This is something, if you're here or you're new, welcome. I'm just really glad to be here doing this live on Valentine's Day because I feel like it's just so appropriate. I love this group. I love the people in this group. I love being able to come here and share every week kind of thoughts and deeper things. I love writing content and posting online, and I think having more context and having these conversations is just so valuable. And so, if you're here, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining the group. Thank you for watching the replays. I just love it, and I love when y'all reach out and tell me how helpful it's been, or ask questions, or share your ahas. I love all of that. Keep it coming. And, here in the group, please feel free to promote yourself. That's what this group is here for. We've got some people, that have been promoting themselves. I'm looking at my screen at the group. But we've got some brave souls posting. So be sure to introduce yourself, put yourself out there, promote yourself. That's what this group is for. Especially on Valentine's Day, I want to just say thank you for being here, and feel free, promote yourself, share your work and your services here in the group, because that's what it's for. I have a lot of dry shampoo in my hair today, and I realized I think I sprayed my head, so we got that going on. And it was Ash Wednesday, so I had my ashes. But we are talking today about the number one way done for you service providers really hold themselves back from 10K months. I'll jump into that in a second. I have lots of notes, and this is something that is near and dear to my heart, and something I'm talking about a lot. You'll hear it going forward about supporting done-for-you service providers, because I know I've been through that myself. I started 8 years ago as a bookkeeper. My background is accounting. I am still a CPA, and my license is still active. But as a bookkeeper, it was like a race to the bottom with my services and what I was charging. I was literally charging $35 an hour when I first started. I pitched 45 to one of my first clients, and she talked me down to 35. And just seeing that it was a never ending, you can take on more work, and you can work every second of the day, but you're still not going to get to those 10K months. And so now I'm pivoting my services to really support done-for-you service providers, so that they aren't trading time for money, and they aren't on this endless treadmill where they feel like they can't make any money. That is what I'm really passionate about, and that is what I'm doing today, because now I'm a coach. I have 20K months. I have an amazing team that supports me. Shout out to them on Valentine's Day, to Christy and Abby and Sarah and Kim. I have this amazing team. Shannon, just love them. And so that is my journey that I've been on for the past 8 years, is moving from those $35 an hour to 20K months, where I pay myself very well. I have an amazing team. I take time off in the summer. I take the entire month of July off. So that is what I'm focused on, and what I'm really my messaging and who I support is focused on, is really helping these done-for-you service providers so that they don't get burned out, so they don't quit their business and want to just burn the whole fucking thing down because they're so tired of it, because they're working all the time and not making any money. So that is who I am. That is what I do. That's who I support. It is one-to-one only, because that is just where I see the most magic. There's just nothing that compares to one-to-one support. So I don't offer anything besides one-to-one support, because that would feel out of alignment. So let's jump in today. This conversation was inspired, and I've got my notes, and I'm going to be relying on them because I wrote a ton and I didn't get to read through all of them before this. Been on client calls this morning, so I'm just kind of catching up on my notes here. But I've been on a lot of free calls just since I started free calls, and now this year in 2024. And so much of what I hear over and over is that people are doing everything right, but yet they just can't get to those 10K months. And people are frustrated as hell. They've been in tears on calls with me. I've seen people over and over just they've invested in all the courses. They have zero profit because they've spent all their money on something else. And they just can't figure out the answer. And so what we're talking about today is inspired by all these conversations I have had. And so we'll just cut to the chase. The number one way or thing that's limiting you from making 10K months, and you don't have to be a done-for-you service provider for this to be true. I'm speaking to done-for-you service providers all the time now, but this is literally anyone in business. This is myself. I'm drawing on a lot of my own story and what I've seen with other clients who are not done-for-you service providers. But the number one way you hold yourself back from 10K months is literally the fear of going all in on yourself. And I know you're kind of just I don't know, Jordan, that sounds too woo. It's got to be something else. But literally, this is it. Like, people wanting to wait till the right time, wanting to wait till all the ducks are in a row, till the plan is perfectly laid out. And most people wouldn't say they're in fear. Most people would say that they're listening to their intuition, that they are being smart with their money. And like, I am a CPA, so we are like, this is accurate. We're called the cheapest people alive, like CPA, cheapest people alive. So I get it. I am not like one of those people that's like, spend your money on everything. But people would say they're just like listening to their intuition or being careful, but it's really fear. And so we're going to break that down, because entrepreneurs are very brave. Like, you as someone who opened a business are just inherently braver than most people out there. That's just part of being an entrepreneur. Like, we are just putting ourselves out there for more risk, more just everything. Like, we literally have to be everything. We have to be the marketing, we have to be the messaging, like we have to be sales, we have to be IT. Like, we are just so willing to like take on more risk and take on more things that people in a corporate environment won't. And so I want to give all the entrepreneurs out there so much damn credit, because you're not fearful. Like, you're so fucking brave. And the reason that you're probably stuck is coming back to fear. So I just want to like make those differences, because like, as an entrepreneur, you're very brave, and like, I want to hands down give everyone here credit for that. And there's still pieces of us that are very fearful, that are holding us back, and that's what we need to tap into. Not tap into, but that's what the work is. Fear running the show, and that is the shittiest place to run your business from. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to unpack it today from like a mindset and a strategy perspective. And this is so important, because I see business owners stay stuck for months and years because of this, because they're switching strategies, because they're looking elsewhere for the answers or new courses, or they're not finding the right gap to close. And so this is something I want to bring here and talk about. And it's a little less like if you know me, you know, I'm typically like left brain, kind of masculine energy. Like, I like to give people no fluff. And so this conversation is a little bit more like fluffy feeling for me, because it is so mindset focused, and we're going to have like strategies and actual techniques that you can use and take away from this. So that is what we're unpacking today. That's what we're talking about. I have something under my glasses that's itching, and I need some chapstick. So I've got the group pulled up. If you jump on live or you're watching the replay, say hello, ask your questions. I love getting y'all's interaction. It truly means so much to me. And I'm doing a giveaway. I always do giveaways. Typically I give away one of my paid master classes, but today, and I just literally decided this before I got on, I'm giving away a free coaching session, which I don't usually do. I normally save those for master classes and people that enter. But if you comment or ask a question live or on the replay, I'm going to pick a person to give that to, and we'll announce it on Friday. So I know we have most people joining on the replay, so we'll definitely be watching the comments and the replay. So please say hello, ask your questions, get the support that you need, and be entered to win the free coaching session. Just because it's Valentine's Day and I feel like it. So we'll start with a mindset piece, because that's kind of what I always start with my framework. So waiting until the perfect time is actually fear. And so if you're sitting there in your business and you're like, I am not in fear, that's not me, that's somebody else, because like I do that too. I'm always like, oh, that's somebody else, it's not me. But if you're someone who's like, you're not getting the results that you want, that's when I want you to step back and be like, maybe it is fear. Like, let's look at a little bit. Like, maybe let me just kind of like play with the fact that, you know, it's like the, hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. And it's 12:13, so it's the perfect time to do a Taylor Swift analogy. But, you know, like, let's just, like, we are perfect and amazing and everything, and let's just kind of like acknowledge the fact that it might be us and we might actually be in fear. And so that feeling of like, it's actually like fear instead of intuition or self-trust, because we want to be safe. We want to have all our ducks in the row. We want to have like the perfect path and know that X equals Z or X equals Y. We can get to A to B, like whatever that is. Like, you know that you're going to get from here to there, and you're going to get this ROI on it, and everything's going to work perfectly. Like, that's what we want. And I know that it feels like we're being responsible or doing the right thing. And most of the time, that's just actually fear. So look at it. Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of success? Is it fear of not being enough or not being good enough or not being smart enough? Like, our brains are wired to keep us safe. And I've said this a lot, and I've said this again. I'll say it again until the end of time, but like, our brains are not wired for success. And this is like data out there. Like, this is not me making this up. Like, there are so many studies out there that show this. Even a lot of the stuff that I read for kids, like, I'm a mom of 3 girls. So I'm reading parenting stuff here and there, and like, even the parenting stuff and kind of the words that I use and try to be mindful of how I speak is to like really support my daughters to like not be afraid to try new things, because like, our brains are scared and that like holds us back. And so really, like, that's just kind of on a whole nother subject, but our brains are not wired for success and not wired for us to try new things and do new things and possibly fail. Like, that is so fucking scary to your brain. And that is the fucking thing that's holding you back in business. And I'm just cussing a lot today because I'm like really jazzed up about this, but it is what I've seen over and over and over. So our brains want to keep us safe. Making decisions out of fear is like the worst place to be in your business. Like, I am all about feeling feelings. I am all about processing them, letting yourself sit with them, not making any feelings wrong. None of them are wrong, but running your business from feelings or from not wanting to feel certain feelings is the worst place to be. And I heard this recently, like, your feelings and fear make a shitty CEO. And like, nothing, like, that rings so true with me. It's like, I am a human. I have feelings. I feel disappointment. I feel all these things. But when I show up to my business and make decisions for my business, I check those at the door, or I process those first, or I figure out a way to get to neutral, or like my coach calls it robot mode. Like, I am looking at business as a game. And if I'm playing the game of Monopoly with, my friends or my sister, we used to play when we were little, like, if I'm all jacked up about it, like, I am not playing the game well. And so that is kind of like, let yourself feel those feelings, feel the disappointment. I think feelings have a shelf life of like 7 to 10 minutes. Like, let yourself feel those and process it. So it's not like, make the fear go away, ignore it, whatever. It's like, feel that fear, but don't run your business based on it, because that's just, again, it's like, that's why you're not hitting 10K months. So another piece of the mindset thing is, if you tell yourself a lie long enough, you just believe it. So if you keep telling yourself that I'm not ready, or I'm not smart enough, or, whatever, when the kids are out of school, or when I have more time on my hands, or when the economy looks different, or when my husband has more money with his job, or whatever, like, your brain just starts to believe that, and it takes it as truth. And I think it's like Abraham Hicks, that's like a belief is a thought that we just keep having over and over. And that is something that I see to be so true with people and the clients and the work that I do, is like, I'm kind of the neutral third party coming in and seeing their thoughts as a different perspective than they have. So they are so sold on their thoughts and their brain. And it's like, that actually doesn't have to be true. Like, your brain takes it as truth because you've heard it and told yourself that so often, but like, it's literally not true. Like, I had a conversation with my coach on Monday. I was talking about what I wanted to give up for Lent, and it was twirling my hair. And it was because my grandmother said something to me like decades ago about not twirling my hair. And so that is something I've still brought forward to this day as something I need to fix. And it's like, well, what if I just didn't fix it? Like, what if I didn't make myself wrong for it? What if I don't need to use the time and energy and brain space to like worry about that anymore? Like, how much time would I save myself? And that's just something, it's kind of related to business, but not really. But it's like, just a thought that like I just kept telling myself, and a lie that just like became its whole thing that I believed to be true based on something that like was a comment that, I love my grandmother, but it was just a random comment that she made like 30 years ago. So it's just, these things can build up in our brain and become something that is so not accurate or so not true, or something that we so just like don't have to even fix or worry about. Kind of on a tangent there, but and I actually have an example of, I was at my daughter's school. I volunteer on Mondays to help with sight words, and the guidance counselor was in there, and she was talking, it was like a book about bubblegum brain. And I thought this was so genius, and I wish I had heard about it when I was little, but it was basically like and I don't know what the context of why it was called bubblegum brain, like either because you can pop the bubble or because bubblegum is like malleable and changes shapes. I'm not sure. But it was basically just about choosing a new thought or questioning the thoughts that your brain gives you and being like, I don't have to believe that, or I can choose a new thought. And so that's just kind of like another side piece of the mindset, is that like seeing that like, yeah, your brain has all these thoughts, but it's literally just something you can decide if you want to listen to it. Like, it is a very smart organ, machine, whatever you want to call it, and it's not freaking perfect. Like, I love QuickBooks, but sometimes I call it trick books because it tries to be smart and it's not, and it categorizes stuff wrong, you know? And so that's just something where it's like, okay, brain, I see you trying to be smart. I see you trying to keep me safe, but that's like not even it. Like in QuickBooks, it's like, no, do not record that as this because that is totally wrong. And so like just bringing that analogy to my brain, if that helps you use it, but just being like, that is so not correct. And I appreciate you for trying, and thank you, bless your little heart, brain, trying to keep me safe. But like, we're not going there today, and we're not doing that. Like the fact that the economy is doing whatever, or that it's an election year, or that, you know, like I said, all the other excuses that can come up in your brain about like, you know, wanting you to hold back in your business, like see those for just the bullshit that it is and just be like, thank you, but we're not doing that today, moving on. And so the piece of the mindset thing that kind of goes into is like the opportunity cost of waiting. So lost clients and lost revenue. If you're sitting there waiting to go all in on your business, time is still going by. Clients could have hired you. Revenue could have come in the door. Like if you're not going all in on yourself, the time is still passing. And it makes me think of something my mom always said, like when I was thinking about going back to school for being a nurse or whatever. And she's just like, I'm like, oh, but it's going to be X amount of years. And she's like, Jordan, the time's going to pass anyway. And so that's kind of what I bring to business, is like the time is going to pass. Whether you go all in on yourself or not, time still passes, and you have lost out on clients and cash because of it. I had a client hire me for an intensive, and then 6 or 7 months later, they hired me and we worked together one-to-one, and we added some really great offers to her, I'm trying to think how to say this, to her just offer suite. And we added 4 like big new clients, and all I could think was just like, damn, I wish we had done this sooner. Like you could have had all this money and reoccurring revenue and, you know, like 6 or 7 months, like, you know, lost of all that. And so that's just something to think about, is like, you don't have to go all in on yourself, but you're still running the business whether you are or not. Like you can let fear run the show, but you know, whether you let fear run the show or you step up as an empowered individual that's just like owning your shit, like stepping up and getting what you need and getting the support you need, like the time is going to pass either way. So why not show up and go all in on yourself and trust yourself? And that is going to be like the game changer in this. Like you can sit there and be like, okay, 2024, now's not the time for me to get one-to-one support. Now's not the time because of the kids being home or whatever. But it's like 2024 is going to go by, and like think of all that we could accomplish together if you just trusted yourself to go all in and get what you needed. So that's kind of all the mindset piece of it. It's just like looking at like the lies that your brain tells you, that's fear, you know, trying to keep you safe. Seeing that self-trust doesn't serve you, it's losing clients, it's losing revenue for you, and the time is going to pass anyway. And just seeing that like my brain is super smart and it's still not perfect. It still feeds me lies, and I don't have to believe them. I can choose my new identity. I can choose my new thoughts. I can decide today what I want to believe. So that's kind of all the mindset piece of this. If you have questions, let me know. I haven't checked the Facebook group, and I didn't even check to see if I'm actually going live. Hopefully it's working. Yeah, we're good. All right. So moving on to the strategy piece. And the strategy piece kind of starts with, there is no perfect time. Like literally the perfect time is now, because it's really all we have. So sit with the feeling that, you know, maybe you don't have, you know, a certain thing, or you need to wait until you have a certain certification, or whatever that is. Just sit with that feeling and let it pass through. Like see it as a thought, see it as a lie that your brain is telling you, my brain lies to me too. And just thinking like, what if you didn't believe that anymore? Like, what if you were like, actually, I am enough. Actually, I have enough clients already to get support, because that's kind of the purpose of getting support, is to get more clients. And yet people are always like, well, I need to get another client before I get support. And it's just like, it doesn't work that way. Like, that's like defeats the whole purpose of support. So like just letting yourself see the lies that your brain tells you, and like you don't have enough time or resources, and seeing that you don't have to believe that, and deciding like, what if now is the right time? What if I am actually enough? What if I trust myself to go all in? What would that look like? Like, what is possible? What does that mean for me, for my business, for my results? Like, what if you weren't like, when is the right time? Or I don't know. What if you're just like, now is the right time. 2024 is the time. This month, freaking February, this is the time where I trust myself and I go all in on my business. Like, it's kind of, it sounds so simple, and it is, but it is hard. Like, it's hard to go all in on yourself. And so we're going to unpack a few more like strategy pieces of this. And I don't want to get too dark, but we know tomorrow's not guaranteed. Like, we hear it all the time. And I've heard every reason for not working with me. And we mentioned some earlier, like the kids in school, kids are out of school. I've already paid for a lot of courses. I have debt that I'm paying off because of the courses. The roof needs to be fixed. We're getting a new, certain machine or refrigerator. This is our slowest month of the year, or whatever. Like, there's all these things, but it's like, what if you just decided that like now is the right time, and just seeing that like we don't have anything guaranteed. And so if you're going to go all in on your business, now is the time to do it. So that's like the first piece, is just seeing that like you get to decide when the right time is. It's not left up to some outer thing that you can't control, and you're just kind of swept along in the ocean that is life. Like, it's like, I get to decide every single freaking day when I wake up that I'm going all in on my business. Like, that's what you can do. And that is so empowering. And so kind of the other strategy piece of that is taking that and going for action over perfection. So let yourself take small, consistent steps. So if we're thinking about fear or not trusting ourselves, we kind of have to build up that self-trust little by little. It's not just like, oh, I wake up today and I trust myself. I mean, maybe some people do that. Most of the time I don't see that. It's literally just building self-trust over time. I have a little book. I keep this journal. I write down things that are working and things that have happened that I trust myself on. And that has just helped so much to just see like, I can actually trust myself, and it all is okay. It all works out. And even when something kind of is challenging or doesn't work out, I still look back and I give myself so much credit. So we had a shitty client, and I just have to say it. We had a shitty client. I had to let them go. They're a bully and they are no longer with us. So we have a bookkeeping spot open if anybody wants it, message me. But I look back and I see like when this started, there was literally no way for me to see that coming. Like, the people who I was working with, like, this is the owner who is the bully. The people I was working with were here. That was all of my communication and everything. And then they're gone. And so now I'm dealing with the bully of the business owner. And so that's when it was like, this is no longer a fit. So there was no way for me to foresee that happening. I didn't have a magic globe. I didn't have, like this download from the universe that's like, oh, this is going to be a shitty client. Like, there was no way for me to know. So it's like, I could look back and be like, oh, I don't trust myself to screen people very well, or I don't need to take on these types of clients anymore because of this. Or I could make up so many freaking stories and reasons to undermine my trust. But I'm like, I have my back. I've got previous Jordan's back, because she did the best that she could with the information she had at the time. And then things changed. And so that's just an example where it's like, even though it's like, oh, didn't really turn out the way I would have wanted it or envisioned it, I can still see that I trust myself and I back myself, because we had some great work. We got them epic results. They made like 10K of new revenue in one of their first months. So the work was amazing, and they got great results. And it's just like, okay, it turned sour. It turned not to be a great relationship, and still seeing that like, I trust myself to like vouch for clients and like do this one-to-one. I could easily just be like, okay, no more one-to-one, but I am looking and going forward and being like, okay, I still have my qualifying questions. I still am looking for best fit clients, but it doesn't mean that I was wrong. So that's just kind of the piece of self-trust I want you to see, is like, just see that you're always getting it right, even if it's not perfect. So that's kind of like the piece of like taking action, seeing the small consistent steps, seeing even when it doesn't turn out exactly like you would have wanted it or hoped, like you still make yourself right and still see all the good and the trust that you can build with yourself. So another strategy piece of building self-trust is just taking yourself out of your business and being the CEO. It's easier to look into someone's business and not have fear when it's not you. And so it's kind of this like, we kind of like play pretend or kind of trick ourselves or kind of just do this thing where it's like, okay, like, and that's why it's so easy for me to coach people, because I'm not in their business, and that's how they can like move forward faster, because they're not stuck in their stories, because they have my perspective of someone who's not in their business, who's not the person that feels the weight on their shoulders to book a client or feels the weight on their shoulders from trying to create recurring revenue. It's like I can see them in that and acknowledge it and see like, well, it's really clear to me what's going on or kind of what needs to happen. Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too. Happy Valentine's Day. But it was a text from my mom. But that is so valuable. And this is also in the past, I think at the beginning of January, I did like a live stream all about identity. So this is even when you could find that new identity of yourself. Who is she? What does she believe about money? What does she believe about booking clients? What does she believe about getting support? What does she believe about showing up in her business? You can totally step into her shoes and ask her, or either step into her shoes or just ask her for advice. Like, what would you do in this situation? What would you do with this? Like if you were pitching to this person, or you were trying to create a marketing strategy, or you were creating your messaging, like lean on her, lean on that next version of yourself, that next identity, as someone to help guide you now. So if you're feeling stuck in your bullshit and your fears and your stories, like lean on her and be like, would you, if this next version of me, would they invest in themselves? Would they invest in one-to-one coaching and support? Like the answer is probably yes, because I hate to tell you, no one does it alone. Like the whole American notion of like pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and make $1 million man out of yourself or whatever, it's total bullshit. No one gets anywhere totally on their own. We all need support. We all need someone in our corner supporting us when we are in fear, when we are making decisions in our business from our feelings. We need someone there to help pull us out of our own bullshit. So like thinking that you get anywhere on your own is just a fallacy. Like a client and I were laughing about this yesterday, and I'll be mindful because I don't want to share what she does for client confidentiality, but she does a service that like helps her clients get what they need, like point blank. Like they're over here struggling, trying to do it themselves. They hire her and they get results. Like it is amazing. She's helped thousands of people with what she does. It's very specific. It's not business related, but she does a great job. And so part of what we were laughing about yesterday is being like, you don't pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do this by yourself. Like she's made the path. She's figured all this stuff out. She has this path laid out that she leads them through, and people get results. And so we were laughing about like, there's no like self-made man or woman. It's just like, you literally just need support. Like you are not equipped as a human to do this alone. And it's not to say like everyone needs a business coach all the time, but like if you're wanting to get 10K months and you've been doing it on your own and that it's just not working, like maybe you should try getting coaching, because like that next level version of yourself probably has invested in herself and gotten coaching. Like that is just the truth. Like we want to think like I can DIY it, and it's like you can, but you don't necessarily get the results, and then you waste so much freaking time. So that's the identity piece to play with, is like, who is that next version of yourself? Because she probably gets support. She probably invests in herself and her business and someone to be in her corner when things feel hard. So that's that piece. So I can kind of talk about this from my perspective. Like when I first invested in myself, it was 3 years ago. I did a group program that was like 9K, and I hadn't created this next identity of myself, but I was investing in myself because of the life I wanted for my 3 daughters. So I honestly made the pivot from bookkeeping to one-to-one coaching because of my daughters. Like we were at a crossroads with schools and where they were going, and we didn't get into the charter school that we wanted. So I was going to send my oldest daughter to private school. So all 3 girls were going to be in private school, private daycare. That was about $3,500 a month that I paid for like 2 years. And that was why I did it, because I wanted this for them. Like, I wanted certain schools, I wanted certain daycare. We're a Montessori, we send them to Montessori, so that was really important to me. And that's why I made this change, is not just for like, oh, this next version of Jordan wanted more money, or that's who she is, she invested in herself, but it was literally because that next version of myself was a mom with kids at these schools. Like, she's a mom, she pays for this every month, and it wasn't this next level version of myself for me, it was for them. And so that's, even now, like, I don't have the tuition every month. Like, we got into the charter schools, so only have one kid's daycare and tuition right now. But even now, it's like, the work I do is for my clients, like seeing them get amazing results and amazing ahas, and like literally I can see the new revenue that they create from working together. Like, that is what it comes down to for me and my business. So when things feel hard or challenging, or I don't trust myself, I can still look and see that I do this for my clients. So even if it's not for the next version of yourself, like, I definitely look at my business from that next version of me. And I've talked at length about that in another live stream, but just really seeing that, like, I can trust myself, and I kind of need to trust myself, because I can see the tens and thousands of dollars that clients wouldn't make if I didn't do this work. So that's just important to speak to if you're wanting to create that self-trust, is just seeing, like, who's that next version of me? Does she get support? And also seeing, like, who am I doing this for? Like, what would my life be like if I had tens of thousands of dollars or 10K of revenue every month? Like, think about how your life would change and who you're doing it for, so that it kind of kicks you into, like, it just lights a fire under you in a way that, like, maybe just doing it for yourself wouldn't do. So that, thinking about playing with the next version of yourself, or who you're doing this for, to step into trusting yourself and busting through fear. And this kind of goes back to my story too. I'm just looking at my notes. Like, when I pivoted from bookkeeping, I had so much self-trust because I had built that up. Like, it kind of never occurred to me that I would fail. Like, that thought never crossed my mind. And then when I jumped into coaching, I had no idea what I was doing, but I had this blind faith in myself that, like, I will figure it out come hell or high water. I will find someone that can help me. I will get the resources. Like, I'm going to figure it out. And it wasn't like, I'm going to do it on my own. It's like, who can help me? Who's got the answers? Who's done this that I can learn from and utilize? Like, I've worked with my own one-to-one coach for years now. Did the group program. Did a group mastermind, and it was small. It was only 4, but again, no, not for me. I'm not going to sit here and listen to everybody else's shit. Like, I want to be here for me and talk about me, talk about my stuff. And that's like the only thing that one-to-one, that one-to-one is the only container that gives you that. Like, there's like no other place in your life where it's all about you and what you need. Like, it is so freeing and amazing, and you can just show up in a way that you just can't in a group program or a group mastermind. So I've kind of always invested in this high level support in myself, and just seeing that, like, I've had so much self-trust along the way, even when that 9K group program was like, I could have done without that, or the group mastermind that was like, I could have saved myself some money and not done that. But like, the third time, I still invested with the highest level support I've ever gotten. It's like, I could look at these two things and be like, they were a fail, or they were a bad investment, or I didn't get my ROI, but like, I saw that, like, okay, that kind of got me closer to the decision that is the best fit for me now. And I didn't see them as fails. I saw them as, like, still getting me on the path and giving me information and data of where I want and need to go. And so that's why I had so much trust to still go and get one-to-one support after that, was because I was like, yeah, okay, that wasn't the best thing, and I can see I'm moving in the right direction. So that's just something I want to bring here. And then creating that high ticket offer took self-trust. Like, it took pivoting in a way and offering something I had never done before and really going all in. And even now that I'm like talking to Done For You service providers specifically, even though that's who I've supported a ton over the years, but to like draw the line in the sand and stick the flag in the ground, like, it is like, I have so much self-trust that I've just built up over time that doesn't feel, it's not holding me back. Because I know a lot of people would be like, I don't want to be that public about it, or yeah, maybe I'll just see what happens. Like, I'm drawing the line in the sand, and I fucking trust myself to show up and keep getting results because I'm so specific and I've built up like this non-tolerance for fear. So it was kind of all a tangent on my journey, but just to show you where I came from with the bookkeeping background to the high ticket offer to now niching down on my high ticket offer and seeing I've invested in support in the past that wasn't exactly the best fit. And I'm still sitting here and I give myself so much grace and I get such epic results in 20K months because I didn't make any of that stuff wrong, because I didn't make any of my journey wrong, and because I didn't know the next best step, or I knew the next best step was getting support, even if I didn't know what exactly the path looked like. Even if I didn't know, like, well, a client's going to come in on this month, and then another one's going to come in on this month, and that's going to cover these fees, and then I'll have this amount of profit. Like, that's not how I looked at it. It was like, and I'm a numbers girl. Like, my brain wants to do that. And like, that's what I do with clients is like, okay, let's see. Like, I was just working with a client before this. Like, okay, if you had this package, you could bring in this amount of recurring revenue with these 4 people. And then you could offer this one high ticket thing once a month. And that would bring you to 10K. Like, we were literally doing the math. And it's still a self-trust thing that she's just going to have to like, okay, I get this one next client and I get this next client and then I get this client. And that's how it's like built, because she's worried and wanting to go like, well, when's it going to all happen? When's the time frame? What's the answer? And it's like, well, we just have to have the vision and like we have the plan laid out and we have to be available for every little thing along the way that she trusts herself. She has like 3 calls booked this week that are probably going to all turn into paying clients because people just hire her when they get on the phone with her, and reflecting that to her and being like, we don't have to worry about the time because everything's working. Like, your calls are working. When you put something out there, like 5 people book a call. Like, when you get on 5 calls, 3 people pay you. Like, this is how we fill in those gaps that your brain wants the answers to. So it's kind of going off on a tangent there, but this is just how she's building self-trust with her brain and like with her new offers. So just like how I've kind of pivoted my offers and gone from the $35 an hour bookkeeper to 20K cash months as a coach, like that takes so much self-trust and just being like, I'm not available for fear to run the show anymore. Like, I'm not available for that. That door is closed. Like, I'm not going there. And that's the thing I offer as a coach is like being able to sit there with someone and just being like, well, why is the time thing important? Like, why are you putting your pressure on this? And yes, we all need to make money, and like the time collapses when we aren't worried about the time. And so just having that reflection for her is just like super powerful. And I also decided that I'm not going to be the coach that's like, okay, you're not ready, my door is always open. Like, if you're on a call with me and we're doing follow-up, I don't want to ever say that. I want to be like, what's really going on? Like, yes, my door can be open because I love you and I want to work with you, and let's cut the bullshit and see what's really going on. I don't want to stop the conversation because you're not ready and my door is always open, when it's like, let's just lay it out on the table. What's really going on? So that is the kind of coach I want to show up and be, because I don't want to be tiptoeing around your bullshit like everyone else is. So that's like a challenge that I've made to myself, and something I invite you to do. Like, okay, I'm not available for this fear running the show. I'm not available to not trust myself anymore. Like, that shit has to go. I'm done with that. Close the door on it. I'm not indulging in that anymore. And just giving yourself kind of that like, I'm done moment. And that's what like part of working with a coach is so powerful, because I'm supporting my clients to get to neutral. So we're not making themselves wrong about all of this. We can see that and just see that like, we get to see the business as a business. Like, who they are as a person is very important in processing their feelings, and we still need to separate that from the business. The business is not your baby. It is not a reflection of who you are as a person, or how good you are, or how smart you are, or how worthy you are. But like, that's what we all kind of wrap it up around, and no shame in that game. But that's when you really need to get support. When you're making the business and your results and your clients and your money about you, that's when it's really unhealthy, and you need to pull yourself out of that. And getting support is the fastest, bestest, easiest way to do that. So literally in Voxer this week, I had a client message me saying, I'm trying not to panic. And that's the thing when it's like, yes, okay, let yourself panic, let yourself have your moment, let your brain have a tantrum, process it, feel it, like don't push it down and ignore it. And then let's step into your CEO shoes. Then let's ideate, come up with solutions, and see what your business really needs. And this was something that, like, this was real shit that she was talking about. Like, this isn't some just like, you know, like a little blurb. Like, this is big and something that is the biggest thing that's happened in their business in like 8 years. And it's still going to kind of haunt them for a while. And so the thing is that, like, this is the stuff. It's letting them walk through that and have that space to, like, I'm trying not to panic, but like, let's go ahead and panic because this is really big, and like what needs to happen next. So they aren't running from failure, because they could easily look at this and be like, this is big and we need to change our business and we need to never hire an employee again. And we are so scared that this is going to happen again. So we're not going to do XYZ. Like, it's not a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of literally anything they could have done. It's like, as you grow and work with more people and have more money, things like this just kind of open up. And so the goal of the work I'm doing with them is just to really see that, like, this shouldn't dictate tomorrow. Like, yes, we could put some systems and processes in place that would help a little bit, but if they let fear creep in and like let this erode their self-trust, it would be detrimental to their business. And I know that that is like a big word to use, but if they had fear creep in and that blind self-trust that we all need to start a business, if that takes hold at some point, like, you're just a goner. And so that's the support I'm giving them. And it is not like the fun work of business and something that like people don't really want to talk about, but I work with enough businesses behind the scenes to see that, like, shit happens, big shit happens, like real things happen, that like you need to be able to ride these waves and have someone to support you, so that you're not just like closing up shop or telling yourself a story that just is the downward spiral of your business, because that is easily what could happen. So we covered a lot today. I feel like I need to take a breath. On the mindset side, your brain wants to keep you safe. It tells you a story that eventually becomes something that you believe. And there is just never a perfect time. You hear this with like, well, we're going to wait to have a baby until this. And it's just like, there's just never a perfect time to have a baby. There's never a perfect time to start a business. There's never a perfect time to just fucking drop the bullshit and go all in your business. Like, now is the perfect time. So that is the mindset piece I want you to take away, is that the steps will never be perfectly laid out. There will never be these perfect stepping stones. Or, I mean, maybe you'll get, like, I believe in signs from the universe and all of that. So maybe you will get a sign from the universe, but it's not like it's just going to be like this huge bag of money just drops into your bank account and you're like, what do I do with it? Like, that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't. People just decide, I'm tired of my bullshit and I'm making this happen. So that is the mindset piece I want you to take away. The strategy piece is to really just take baby steps. Look back over what you've done. See the self-trust that you've built. See how you can trust yourself, how you can go all in yourself, how even when it seemed challenging or didn't work out, like, you still figured it out and it still brought you closer to what you want. Write it down if you need to. Keep evidence, because your brain will want to argue with you. It will want to say, you can't do this, or you just got lucky, or that was just a fluke. Like, write it all down as evidence to be like, no, brain, like, this is real, legit. I trust myself and here's the proof. I'm all about data, so that is the piece that I would recommend for that, because that's how my brain works. And then just see what's already working. See how you've already trusted yourself. Also look at, what would the next version of you say? Would the next version of you say, no, play small, don't get that support, don't go all in on yourself, wait till you have the money? And I'm not saying like put yourself in financial peril, but the next version of yourself is probably saying like, you've done this alone for this amount of time. Now let's put your big girl pants on. Now let's get support. Now let's step up to the plate and do it like the real way. Or think about like who you're doing this for. What would this mean for you? Like, if it's your clients, if it's your family, like, they are relying on you to go all in on yourself so that they can get the results, so they can reap the benefits. Like, your potential clients need you to do this work. And so it's your job to step up to the plate and to do the hard things so that you can support them. So you can think about it that way. What would the next level version of yourself say? Or what are the results that you want and the people that you need, that need your support would say? Take yourself out as a CEO. Look at your business from a third party. Get a coach, me, someone else to really support you to do that. What would a third person say? What if you got to neutral? What if you weren't panicking or running your business from your feelings right now? Like, how could that change things for you? And really looking at making decisions from that place. And if you're ready for some self-trust and to build an offer that gets you to 10K months, because that is the other piece of this, if you're not getting to 10K months, you also have to look at the fact, like, do I have an offer that gets me to 10K months? If you've got a $37, offer, or if you're charging $35 or $40 an hour, like, it is going to be really freaking difficult to get to 10K months. So the first piece of that is the self-trust with the high ticket offer. And that is why I'm offering my free strategy sessions. I have 4 this month in February. Is one meant to be yours? Are you ready to repackage those badass done for you service skills? Because you are literally in the best position. Like, this was something when I started coaching, I was kind of looking at all the other coaches, like, I kind of have all this other experience and skills that you don't have, and I get to use this in my marketing. Like, you've got so many things in your back pocket that, like, other coaches, and you don't even have to offer coaching like I do. Like, we can create consulting, we can create masterminds, we can create group programs, we can create a course that you sell. Like, it doesn't have to be coaching, but you bring so much to the table that all these other people probably don't. And you already have clients that have, trusted you, and they can give you testimonials, and you can lean on them for market research. Like, you have such a wealth of information at your fingertips to take and repackage it into something that creates 10K months, because it's not going to come from charging $35 or $40 an hour. Like, it's just not, especially if you're a mom, if you're doing this at home and you want a flexible schedule, like, you need a high ticket offer. So I'm going to put the link below, grab your spot. It's free. It's 30 minutes. You'll walk away with, like, the clarity around what the offer is, what you bring to the table, how to roll it out. Like, we will get all of that done, because I am, like, this is my jam. This is what I do. I did it myself, and I've supported tons of clients to do this as well, and I can't wait to support you on it. So that is it for today. I was really fired up about this one. I didn't realize how excited I was, but I'll drop the link below. Again, leave your comments, leave your questions. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have the best day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.